Well, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. And I want to thank you for writing letters, practicing your writing skills, practicing your skills of being a good citizen and expressing your concerns to our mayor. And we are lucky that we have a mayor who is so willing to come meet with you and talk about your concerns and address your concerns. So it's my honor to introduce to you Mayor Tim Keller.
Hello. Well, should I come over here?
Wherever you
All
go.
right, so we're going to do another introduction. First of all, do you know she's kind of in charge of all the schools? Not just this one. Yeah. Anyway, so you might see her in middle school and then again in high school. Pretty cool. So thank you so much.
And especially
for being
at
here.
your graduation, because I'm excited for when you graduate in how many years? 8. All right, I like that you know that.
All right, so we got one other person to introduce. This is Miles. And say hello to Miles. He works at the city. He's at Taylor Ranch Community Center, which is on the west side.
I know that.
Do you?
In there.
Oh, nice. It's nice, huh? So it's just across the river from here. But he also was born and raised in Albuquerque, just like me. And he was class president when he was in high school at Albuquerque High. 3 years out of 4, which is amazing. So let's also welcome Miles.
How are you guys? You guys doing good today?
Yes.
It's not every day that the mayor gets to come see you guys, so this is a really lucky day for you guys.
So before we start, I'm going to turn off my cell phone real quick. Just like I'm sure soon you guys will have to do. And I'm excited to be here with you. There were a couple of things that I first wanted to ask you guys before you ask me a question. So, did you just come from lunch?
No.
No? Have you had lunch yet?
Yeah.
That's good. What was it today? What was lunch today?
Beans and chicken. Beans and chicken.
Were they in like a taco shell or just straight up beans and chicken?
Chicken.
Fried chicken.
A drumstick. It was cookie dough.
Nice.
And
What? You had cookie dough?
Yeah, with chocolate chips. It was raw.
All right, sounds pretty good. Next time maybe I'll come for lunch. I remember we always had square-shaped pizza. Do you guys have square-shaped or triangle?
Circle sometimes. And we have a
Whoa.
circle one, a pie pizza.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's not like a
Good stuff.
huge pizza. It's just like enough that we could eat. Yeah. It's not bad.
All right. Now, do you guys know what the mayor does?
What? No.
Any guess? I'll call on a few of you. Well, let's have 3 people share what the mayor does.
You make laws.
That is a good statement and in many ways true, but I'll explain maybe a little bit about there's another group that helps me do that too.
You make Albuquerque laws, and well, that's about all I have.
Nice, all right. You're all right on, go ahead.
You help the citizens and help them live here
Nice,
and lower bills.
that's a good, and lower bills too.
You kind of control Albuquerque.
Wow, I wish. Good one, in some ways. All right, let's do 2 more. Go ahead.
The people who make laws are to the governors, right?
Yeah, interesting how that
Do
works.
you
There's a
tell
lot of
the
lawmakers.
governors which laws they can make?
Yeah. Okay, good question. So I'm just gonna do one more, and then because I want to hear your questions. But let me ask. There's 4 of you. How about you in the middle? Yeah.
They sometimes help with people's situations.
That's right. Yeah. Well, all of you are right in one way or another, and there are some fun things the mayor does, like trash trucks, fire trucks, police cars. Yeah, I know. All those are kind of related to the mayor's job too. But so are all the other things. So the mayor does sign laws. There's something called city council. They also help. They make a lot of laws. And then at the state level, the governor does too. But there's also like traffic lights and roundabouts and roads, and also all the not all, but many of the after-school programs. So like my daughter's in one before and after school at Coronado Elementary, and if you guys have a before and after school program, chances are pretty good that the city is one of the partners helping make that happen. Are any of you in before or after school programs? Nice. Okay. Do you know, is it CFL? Do you know who runs it? They usually wear a t-shirt? That's okay. All right. So the city does a lot of things. And we're donating 2 books that will explain to you a little bit more about government. So before we get started, my last thing is we're giving the library this book, and it's Sofia Valdez, and she, that's the Spanish one, which I can try and read, but let me go with the English one. Sofia Valdez, Future Prez. Has anyone ever seen these books?
No.
No? Okay. They're pretty good, and they're right about your age level. But anyway, your librarians will have them here. But they're about a woman who grows up to be president. And you know how she learns about how government works? She goes to City Hall. And so there's a couple of pages in here that will help explain all the things the mayor does. All right? So you can read those later. And they're also from the First Lady, too. We read this to our kids. This is right now one of our daughter and our son's favorite books. They're 6 and 4. How old are you guys? 9. You're way older. So you can read this to each other. You don't even need anyone to read it to you.
10.
And 10. Okay.
10.
So let's get started.
Let's get it started. Before we get started, though, I wanted to acknowledge some people that were in the room today. So if we could please have a round of applause for Principal Leslie Cummins, please. And some teachers that you guys have here at the school, Karina Smesta and thank you guys. So let's get started with it. So in December, some of you guys sent the mayor letters about your biggest concerns about our community and our city here in Albuquerque. So today we're going to go over the top 3 topics that you guys sent in. And then after we're done with those topics, we're going to take some additional questions from you guys that I know you guys are itching to ask the mayor. So the first major concern that you guys had was about climate change. So we got a few letters from you guys. So if I say your name, can you please stand up so you can be acknowledged? Kaylin Quintana.
Callan.
Callan? Excuse me, I'm sorry. And Jenna Weissel. So, Mr. Mayor, Callan had strong thoughts on picking up trash, especially plastic bags in the city. And Jenna had strong feelings about the pollution's harm to animals. So if you could please just tee off that and talk about climate change and how it affects our community here in Albuquerque.
Sure. So those are 2 great questions. And I'll try and address both of them. First, let's talk about plastic bags. Did you guys know that all of a sudden you can't get plastic bags in grocery stores anymore? Yeah. Good. So you're helping your parents, bring a reusable bag or something like that?
Yeah, they have to.
Nice. So that's one of the things the city does. And so if you guys have questions too, we're going to get to them. I think our moderator is going to allow. So if you just hold on to your question a little bit, and then we'll try and get to them. So that's one of the things the city did. We said we shouldn't have so many plastic bags because they're everywhere, like in our parks and blowing around the mesa, and they don't really degrade in the earth, right? They just stay plastic forever, and then animals can eat them and birds can choke on them and things like this. So it's actually a great way that we're trying to help our environment. So one way you can help is just remind your parents, because I know I forget. I show up to the store and then I'm like, I don't have my reusable bags. So you can help remind them, or you can even have your own special bag that you can take with them or give it to them when they're going shopping. So that's a great way you can help, and a good example of how hopefully the city government is helping our environment here in Albuquerque. Now, when it comes to animals and ozone and things like climate change, I know it's really cold out, but does anyone think it's getting warmer or colder? What do you think? Just say it. Warmer? Warmer?
Colder.
I know, like it's colder now, right?
Warmer.
Yeah.
Feels like
Because January is a colder month.
Spring, okay. So there's some discussion about the details around this, but basically what we do know is that our planet is getting warmer. And that might feel good right now, like I could use it to be a little bit warmer outside, but this is on average over the course of the year. And what happens is some things change in our environment that can be very dangerous to us. So for example, there's pinon trees. Do you guys know what pinons are?
yes.
Right? We used to have all these pinon trees all over New Mexico, and then all of a sudden, like 10% or 20% of them got sick and they died because of something called the bark beetle. and it's a little bug that eats pinon trees. But the reason why that happened is because those beetles can't live when it's a certain temperature, and when it got a little bit warmer, it allowed them to live longer and then eat those pinon trees. So that's just one example of the effects of when it gets warmer. Another one is we're getting more ozone. Does anyone know what ozone is?
It's more like a freezing temperature.
Kind of. It's like a gas in the air. Like we have oxygen and nitrogen, like in the air we breathe.
H2D.
Yeah. So ozone, I actually don't know what the chemical formula is either. But it's not good because it builds up above our city and it makes our city hotter. So it kind of magnifies the sun when it shines down on our city and it makes it a little bit warmer. And we know in our city that ozone is actually getting worse, which is making our city warmer. And it even means that sometimes we have to cancel your soccer practice because if you have asthma and ozone levels are high, it can be very dangerous. So this hasn't happened since I was your age. So when I was a little kid at elementary school, we used to have ozone issues in our city, and we cleaned them up. We said that we have to use better cars and that don't have as much exhaust, and we stopped using as much Aquanet. I don't know why that was a thing, but anyway, adults, that was like at the time aerosols, right? That's what it was. So anyway, this problem is kind of back, and so we're trying to let people know how they can help reduce ozone. So if you're in like a drive-through, maybe sometimes you go for drive-through to get food with your parents. We do go to Wendy's a lot in my house. So I know. But it's really good to actually turn off your car. You can tell your parents to turn off your car in the drive-through. Or if you get gas, when you pump your gas, try and do it in the evening when it's not hot out. And believe it or not, those things are actually small things that make less ozone, which will help cool down our city. The other thing is plant trees. So we're planting way more trees. All of a sudden, for a while, we stopped planting trees because they took too much water, but then everything got hotter, and now we need trees to cool everything down and actually help retain water. So we learned a lot in the last 20 years on that. Okay, so I know we have more questions, so I'm going to stop there. Thank you for your good questions.
Thank you guys for your questions. You guys can sit down. Thank you very much. Like Mayor Keller said, climate change is a huge issue around the world and a concern for many here in the city. But another issue that you guys wrote in about was crime. And so can I have Tomas Chavez please stand? Round of applause for Tomas. Mayor Keller, Tomas would like to see more police stations in the city because he feels like more police presence makes our community safer. With that, if you can just elaborate a little bit on how we're working on crime problems and how they're affecting our community.
So thank you so much for your question. And I love your sticker badge there too. That's pretty cool. So this is a good chance to, I don't know if everyone got to see, but we have 2 police officers here with us today.
Yeah.
Do you guys see them over there?
Yeah.
Can you all clap and thank them for their service? Now, I should take the opportunity to tease 2 other police officers who are here with us today in coat and tie. They're police officers too. Let's thank them too. So, your question is such a good question. And I know that unfortunately, maybe sometimes too, you've even felt unsafe, perhaps at school or walking home or around your house. Maybe even your parents have had their car broken into or their house. I know this is a problem. In fact, my car's been broken into twice. And our house has been attempted to be broken into a couple of times. So crime is really tough right now in our city. So we want to do a couple of things. Number one, it's really important that if you see anything that you're worried about, that you're suspicious about, tell your teachers or tell someone at school what's going on. Just ask the question. Just say, hey, I'm not sure about this person in the parking lot, or this morning somebody was at my bus stop. Go ahead and tell that to the adults, okay? Because we can try and do something about it if we know something about it. So that's just a small way in which you can help. The other thing we're trying to do is have more police officers in your neighborhood. So I am trying to recruit more people to become police officers. and you're a little young right now. But in about 5 years, you can start doing different programs in high school, and then if you go to college or at CNM, you can actually try and get jobs in law enforcement, and you can help be part of our shortage when it comes to police officers because we don't have enough. And just so you know too, it doesn't always mean that you have to, drive around in the car and arrest the bad guys. That we need a lot, but we also need people to do like scientific evidence and people to do research and investigate crimes too. So we need all kinds of folks to help us. So that's just something in mind, or if you have an older brother or something, you might say, hey, check out the website for our police department. Now we're also trying to open more substations. So can I ask, do you know your major street that you live near?
Lomas.
Lomas, and do you know the cross street?
No.
Okay, that's okay. Do you live by Old Town?
Yes. No. Well,
A little bit?
By Carla.
yeah.
Okay.
15 minutes away.
All right, Lomas and Carlisle. Okay, so that was, thanks. Well, this is a good example. So we're trying to have more police stations open again. They've closed, and so there's not one by Lomas and Carlisle, but there is one, like there's one near Old Town, and there was another one in Nob Hill, in some area there's a town, and they were closed for like 10 years. So we're opening them again to try and get police officers closer to your house. So we're working on that, and I think slowly it's gonna make a difference, because last year we got 100 new police officers, and this year we are on target to get 100 more officers. But do you know how many we need at least?
2,000?
You're kind of all right. We need 200 more for sure, I think. And in total, we need 1,200. That's about what we had when I was your age.
Oh my gosh.
I know, and right now we only had, when I started, we had like 830 or something like that. So we're doing all we can to try and bring more officers and get them out into your neighborhood. Thanks for your question.
Round of applause for him, guys. Raise your hand if you guys are interested in becoming a police officer later on in life.
Yes.
Dang, Mayor
right.
Keller, go ahead. Get all their applications right away.
Right. Oh, man. You gotta go do this in high school next.
Alrighty. So we also had many of you guys write letters to the mayor that mentioned bike lanes. So how many of you guys want better bike lanes? Raise your hands. Nice. Me too. I use my bike going to school every morning, so it's okay. So if we could have Samantha Fulcher, Jenica Gonzalez, and Gemma Cupian, please stand up. So they're concerned about bike lane safety for our community and our city, Mayor Keller. So if you can just please tell us on why bike lanes are important to you.
Absolutely. So, bike lanes are something that are so important for our city, and I'm glad that you care about them too. And I'm guessing, do you ride your bike?
Yeah.
Yeah? And is there a bike lane on your street?
No.
I bet not, right? Yeah. So, a long time ago when we built our city, we made very few bike lanes. And so we're playing catch up, trying to add bike lanes. And we're starting with the busiest streets. So now, hopefully, and I think you're probably too young to maybe go on the busy streets, so check with your parents.
Freeway.
Not the freeway. Just to be clear, don't ever take your bike on the freeway. By the way, I think that's one where that also might mean you get to meet some police officers. So don't do that. So, you know the rules of riding a bike, and so what we're trying to do, and if you see close to your school, Rio Grande is a good example. We're trying to make bike lanes where there's space between you and the cars. So instead of just a stripe down the road, and then it's like cars, and then you riding your bike, we're trying to put a buffer in between you. And if you look on Rio Grande, we've done that. So there's some space in case maybe you swerve a little bit or a car swerves a little bit. And in some areas of town, like on Lomas, there's even a better bike lane, and it's green so that everyone knows it's for bikes only. In your intersections, we're trying to put little orange barriers so that no one gets in your way when you're on your bike. So this is something called the Complete Streets program, and it means that when you make a street, you're trying to make it complete not just for cars, but for bikes and for sidewalks, for pedestrians. And so now, when we build a new street, they all have to have all these good bike lanes. So at least going forward, and you guys are young enough, you're really going to get to see the results of this. Whenever there's a new street, it's going to have a good bike lane. So you can learn how to ride on those, and for now you can enjoy the ones if your parents are okay with it, at least on Rio Grande. And then on your side street, of course, remember you just got to stay kind of close to that right-hand side because we don't have any bike lanes yet on most of our side streets. But someday, I think we're going to catch up and we'll get those. All right, cool.
Thanks. Round of applause for them, guys. Thank you guys for your questions. So, other than you guys, we also had kids from local community centers submit questions for the mayor. So we're gonna address 3 of them right now. So the first question is from Maya, and she's from Jean Bellamy Community Center, and she asked you, Mr. Mayor, what is it like being mayor and having the power to make important decisions?
That's a good question. So let me, before I answer that, just check. How many of you have been to a city community center? Do you know? And which ones do you go to? Just say it out loud.
Los Tiranas Community Center.
That's right, that's very close by, right? Anyone else? Do you all go to Los Tiranas? Those of you who go? Where else?
Los Tiranas.
Okay, great. All right. Los Tiranas.
Baralas.
Which one?
Baralas.
Oh yeah, Barelas. Nice.
Ain't Taylor Ranch?
Oh man, too far. You gotta swim across the river if you're gonna make it there, or walk across the river. So let's see. So I want to answer that question, but also I just want to remind everyone that there is a community center near most people, near most everyone. Your closest is Los Tiranas. So if it's during the summer or even during winter break, and your parents kind of trying to figure out what to do, you can check with that community center because they'll have lots of programs for you. By the way, the woman is here who runs all those. We should probably clap for her. Kristen Chavez Smith. She does all our community center programming. So, the question for the community center is great. What is it like to be mayor? Look, I will tell you, it is super exciting, and every day is very, very different. So, usually there are some really fun things I get to do. I do get to ride in a lot of police cars. I know, pretty cool, and sometimes we even hit the sirens. I know you're gonna ask. And I get to ride in a lot of fire trucks. Even rode in a snowplow, trash truck. I know, snowplow. Pretty cool. I get to move it up and down too. So yeah, the scoop. So that's really fun because the city actually helps run all those programs. So there's lots of fun things. And I also get to spend a lot of time with kids in our community centers, which is awesome. But there's also really serious things too, like trying to figure out what to do about public safety and trying to understand how we can make our neighborhoods safer. And so for me as mayor, I know that unfortunately we have a lot of work to do in our city. We're trying to be proud of who we are and our diversity in the city that we live in, but we also know we have some challenges and we got to work on those. And so that means usually lots and lots of meetings. So I do spend a lot of time, just like you guys do in class, sitting in a meeting. But we're trying to make tough decisions about where to spend your parents' taxpayer money to help us be safe. So that's just a little bit about being mayor. We also have an awesome fountain on Civic Plaza, so you should come play in that, by the way. It'll be on in the summer. That's one of my favorite ththings to go check out, too. All right.
Alrighty, we'll get to questions in just a little, I promise. I know you guys you're ready. I feel you. Next is Thomas Banks from Thomas Bell Community Center, and he asked, can you please make more homeless shelters for the people who are cold outside?
How many of you have seen a homeless person outside? Almost everyone, right? Yeah, that's right.
I've seen a homeless
Okay,
person with a dog.
that's good. Hands down. So right, we all have seen them, right? And sometimes it's families. Sometimes they're with children. So the first thing is to understand that these are people who don't have anywhere else to go. So what we're trying to do is, right now, a lot of folks go around a place called Coronado Park. Anyone know where Coronado Park is? Okay,
Yeah.
some people have seen it, right? Lots of homeless there. Yeah. Well, what our city did, and your parents might have even helped with this, we voted on whether or not to build a place for them to sleep in the city. And it's called the Gateway Center. And last November, just a couple of months ago, the voters, when they voted for that, we passed that. So we're going to spend, get ready for this number, $14 million. I know. we are going to build a place where many of them can be able to go. So it's going to take a few years, but we got the money, thanks to the voters, we got approval, and now we're figuring out where to put it. And then hopefully we'll have a place where those folks can go with no questions asked every day of the year, where they can at least have a warm, safe place to sleep.
That's awesome, guys. All right, and the last question is from Isaac, and he's from the Joan Jones Community Center, and he wants to know how you stay so fit and healthy.
I'm glad he thinks I'm fit and healthy. So, well, health is really important at every age, even your age too. So, one thing, let's see, I'll say three things. I have a ton of vegetables. Do you guys like vegetables?
Yeah.
Really? With ranch sauce? You're speaking my language. Yeah. So because when you're older, you can just grind them up and drink them. And so that's what I do. So I have a vegetable smoothie 2 a day. Boom. So just make sure whatever works for you, go vegetables. Now, the other thing, I love to play sports. So I do, most of the time, I play football. And so any activity is a great thing to do. Just for me, I like to do that. And so if you happen to be by, because we're nearby, if you're near Teague Park, on Thursday around 5, you might want to take a look. I might be out there throwing the football.
I'll play with you.
And that's about all I have time to do each week is just that. So the other thing is too, I try and make sure and have a little bit of fun and laugh a little bit each day. That's good too for your health. All right.
Most definitely. All righty, round of applause, guys. So now, within saying all of that, how many of you guys think you might want to run for mayor later on in life?
President.
Oh,
Nice. Skip mayor. Just go right to president.
Mayor Keller.
You have to.
You have some competition, Mayor Keller. All right. So if I could get everybody's hands down.
Could happen.
Do you know the president?
I knew the last president. A little bit. Yeah, we met once. The last president knew my wife.
Oh, how?
Yeah, the first lady.
Were they friends?
Yeah, she used to work for him and she met him a couple of times.
Oh, what?
I know, pretty cool. I didn't get to do that. She does.
That's sad.
That's awesome for her.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But sad for you.
Yeah, no, I wasn't cool enough.
All right, so we're gonna open the floor for a few questions. If you guys could know what you guys are gonna ask before you raise your hand, we would be very appreciative of that. So
You're calling, man. I'm not gonna
okay. Right here. Hey, stand up and say your name and what grade you're in and your question.
I'm Antonio, and how do you become a mayor?
Great question. So, I'm going to tell you the real answer because I think most people know there's an election and people have to vote for you. But you know how you actually do that? Guess what you have to do?
What?
It's actually surprisingly not that much. You have to go around and get a bunch of signatures from other people who live in the city. Yeah. And you just knock on their door and ask for their signature.
I'm gonna be mayor.
Yeah, so you can do it.
But what if they ask why?
And that's a good, well, I'll answer that one in just a second. So first, you have to get a bunch of signatures. And the number of signatures you have to get, I'll never remember off the top of my head, but I think it's maybe around 8,000.
What?
I know.
I'm so lazy for that.
So what you gotta do is, all you have to do is you just have to get your friends to help you. So you get everyone to go around with a clipboard and try and get all these signatures. And sometime, I bet, because there's an election coming up this November, you will probably see maybe outside the grocery store some people with clipboards asking for signatures to run for office. In some offices, like the first office I ran for, you only needed 17 signatures to run for that one. Yeah, so you can easily run for mayor. That's actually the only requirement to run for mayor, so you gotta go get those signatures. But 8,000 is pretty hard to get, and you only have about a month to do it. Yeah, I know. So you gotta work it.
I could probably do it. Wait, 2 weeks. Wait, what about just go to hotels?
Yeah. But there's a lot of people who do it. Last time, guess how many people ran for mayor? 17. Yeah. So you can do it. Yeah, but you also have to be 21. Wait a little bit.
All right. So right here. Oh well. Yeah, you can go. Go ahead.
My name's Nathaniel. When is there gonna be no more graffiti?
So, question is when is there going to be no more graffiti? So, we try and clean graffiti. We have a 3-day rule. Within 3 days, we'll clean it. But if no one calls us, we won't clean it because we don't know where it is. So, what you can do is ask an adult to call 311. And the city's actually really good at this. If you call 311 and report graffiti, and you can check. Look, 3 days later, it's probably going to be gone. So, follow-up question?
No, I know where's lots of graffiti.
No, you do, I bet. Well, too, you can give me an address or a location after, and I'll call 311 for you and call it.
My dad works for the city.
Which department?
Parks and Recs.
Nice, right on. That's a fun department. Okay,
All right.
he's running the show,
We're
so
gonna
I'm
go
let
to the
him do it.
gentleman next to him, right here. He's been itching.
Heavy.
You want to stand up for us?
There you go. And your name, loud and proud.
Hello, my name is Emiliano, and will you ever stop litter in parks?
Good one. So, and this might be what your dad helps with a little bit too. So litter is actually becoming, this is another problem that we had a long time ago, and it's kind of back, where people are just throwing their trash everywhere. Even bikers on bike paths are throwing their little squeezers and wrappers and everything like that. So, I don't think we can ever stop every single piece, but we can try a lot harder than we have been.
Like just in parks?
Yeah, and so just yesterday, I was having a meeting about this issue. And we were talking about ways to remind people that there are trash cans in parks. So like you just have to look around and walk to the nearest trash can. And also we want to let people know that if you're walking your dog or if you're walking in the park, you don't have to, but it'd be a nice thing to do to maybe pick up a few pieces of trash and put it in the trash can. So it's a good thing to remind everyone that, one, also, did you know littering is not allowed? Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
so
No one
you're
really
true.
knows.
Yeah, but you know what? We might start enforcing those a little bit more soon.
More
So
cities and parks.
we're talking about
Oh my God.
TV ads about littering too, reminding people you can be fine.
Alrighty, guys. Unfortunately, we cannot ask any more questions. The mayor's time with us is done. But we want to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to welcome the mayor, and for you guys for being our audience today. So, round of applause for you guys. And if you guys could stick around, I think we're going to take a couple of group photos. And
Stay away from those, okay?
Fairness.